Hello and welcome to PcShed. My name is Sergio and today is a little bit special because we have finally finished the X99 Asus project. So what this video is about is give you a bit of a rundown on what we've done, some of the decisions that we've changed, and there's been a lot of change through this project. But if you want to have a look, we're about to fill it up and flush the system out. So what we have here, originally it's supposed to be Alpha-Cool fittings across board, so I mixed some fittings Alpha-Cool with some Monsoon free center matte black. The loop, as it works, and it will work, the outlet from the DCC pump will go to the CPU. The CPU is a 5960X, and then it will come out of the water block. The water block is a pure copper EK block, goes to a 360mm radiator Alpha-Cool. Then it will come down, go into the first Titan. The actual Titans I configured in a way so the water will go through, come through and split, okay, and then will go through the second and come out on the outlet. That will go up to the second radiator, which is 360mm EK, and finally go back to the reservoir at the bottom. Now the reason I chose the bottom is because I don't want the sound of water coming from the top. The tubing, well, originally is supposed to be Alpha-Cool's clear tubing, but this is my first time working with acrylic tubing, and because the theme was red, I decided to put some Monsoon UV red. Now it probably look orange on the camera, but it is red. But I think it suits the build quite well. A few other customizations that we've made. First of all, the Corsair Dominator Platinum DDR4 2800, there is 32 gigs. What we've done is installed a lighting upgrade kit and have some custom made acrylic inserts, because these kits only come with the transparent white and blue. But you can get them on eBay, dead cheap, and it's firstly laser cut, fits perfectly. You use the internals as you normally would do to set that up. The Titans got EK copper blocks on both. All the system is a copper system, and just added some back plates. Second in between, which was a pain in the arse because of the configuration of this motherboard, is a Asus Sonar STX2 sound card 7.1, and that's been modified with a custom laser cut plate, just to hide all the PCB soldering. The actual connections on the EK block, on this specific block, to fit what I wanted, I had to change them. I was going to go plexi. Now we tried a bridge, which I have here, which originally we tried and it looked okay. We had to modify it because of the configuration of the two PSI Express lanes. 16 is 1 and 3, so you can't use a dual on that. Well, you can, but then you would reduce your second card to 8x, and I didn't want to do that. So this was the original plan, but after tinkering with it, we can fit the sound card. We tried it at the bottom, you had dangly wires, and it was just like a pain in the ass, so we decided to go like this, and it actually worked quite well, I think. Because I changed the fittings, when I bended the tubing was bent to Alpha-Cool's 16mm compression fittings. So when I swapped it over to the Monsoon's free center fittings, there was a bit of an offset of about 2-3mm, so I had to kind of rejig. I had to just use some extensions, and which originally the main build didn't have any extensions or any angle bends at all. It was actually fluid, which looked pretty cool. But as I will explain, when you're working with tubing, if you want to pan over here, Mr. Richard's been very quiet today. Just give you an example, okay? So this is the original fittings that we used. These are Watercooled 16mm compression fitting. The fitting itself is pretty straightforward to assemble. So you got Watercooled 16mm. So first tip, if you're buying a specific brand of fittings, make sure you buy the correct tubing for it, because like Bits Power, EK, Monsoon, their fittings and their tubing, there's about 30% tolerance. So I give you an example. I'll pull this on. So to put the fitting on, put your collar on, make sure you put your plastic insert that will compress the actual O-ring, okay? And then there's an O-ring already built in there that sits flush. Close it. Normally lubricate it. It makes it a lot easier to tighten it, if I can tighten it. But I've got a little tip that I use. You get yourself an Allen key, and inside has been angled. Okay, so this is just for demonstration purposes. So it just makes it easier. Okay, and you tighten it to the point. You know, don't have to go crazy. And normally that would suffice, but this is the danger, right? If you got a high pressured water pump, right, this is tight, but there you go. So the reason I chose to change the fittings, because the tolerance on the tubing actually was thinner than 16mm. I went with Monsoon's tubing, 16mm. Now Monsoon's fittings are a little bit different, and the reason I chose to use in the system was just added security. For the actual fitting itself, put your main fitting on. Right, you can put an O-ring if needed be, but I'll explain why. I mean, that's quite rough, but doesn't matter. Normally you use a deborer. Okay, and then I'll just get a washer if I can. So you have two washers, one inside the actual collar. Okay, what I mean, the collar is this. You see the washer there? So that would go in there and glued, right? And I had a bit of a nightmare with acrylic glue that I got. Ooh, I'm super close. And then that goes like so. Bring your O-ring down. Bear with me. Don't bring your, again, lubricate your O-ring. It makes life a lot easier. Alright. You can see that. So once that's glued, the O-ring compressor, and then that goes down like so, and then that goes like that, and you just tighten it like that. Now because it's glued, the collar stops, even if it there's any movement, it stops the pipe popping out. I mean, this is just, it's not even glued in, but because I put the O-ring, you can see it's a lot. I mean, there you go. It's a lot tighter than the Watercooled. Now you can do without the O-ring depending on what sort of glue you use. Now I've used just normal acrylic glue, which I got from Aqua Tuning, and I used it once and it was fine. I tried to use it yesterday and you can still residues of it, it's still wet. I think the bonding went. So what I used to ensure that the perfect seal, I used some epoxy plastic glue. This stuff is brilliant, right? So it's mix it for about 3 minutes and firstly put it around the actual tubing itself, whack your collar on, okay, leave it for about 5 minutes and it's done. Just make sure that you put everything that you need to do in. Now when you're applying it, don't put too much, because what will happen, the glue after 5 minutes sets and it will overspill, and when you try to put your fitting, you might not be able to put it in. No, but you can cut it with a Stanley knife, but that, once it's glued in, mate, you don't need anything else, and that is solid. And that's what I've done with the system, just for added protection. Now that's how it would look. Okay, so it's a good design. I like it because it's got that added peace of mind. Soft tubing for me is still my favourite because it's so easy. The compression fitting on a soft tubing is easy. That's, if people are wondering, here we are. So we got a Monsoon 16mm soft tubing. Okay, and the difference is so hassle-free. You put your tubing, got some here somewhere. There we go. You put your collar on. This is one that was used on the system. Okay, put your barb in. Okay, bring it over, and then just tighten it.
And done.
Okay, and once it's tightened, that is solid. That's not coming out. Okay, and that's why I love that. The only problem is, yeah, if you got good quality, you can get some good bends around the tubing, but if you got shit tubing, you're just going to get kinks, and that's the difference. All right, again, the other tip is instead of getting standard acrylic tubing, get can't even talk. PETG acrylic. Right, I demonstrated the difference between that on when we were talking how to make your own power supply cover plate, is because it's just that tubing has got a lot more flex. Okay, so we got some spare. Right, now I showed you in the other video. Okay, so if you watch one little, you get fractures. Okay, once it's fractured, that is how easy, and I'm not making a huge effort on actually bending it. This is again acrylic PETG tubing. And you can bang it all day, no fractures. Okay, this was one of my first attempts of doing a custom part, but you can tell I wasn't that great. But that is the difference. So if you're building a system, make sure you use PETG tubing. Highly recommend it. It's a little bit dearer. Okay, the brands to go for pretty much. I went to Watercooled because I used their products before, but I got to admit the company I used, Aquatuni, really disappointed on them. But hey ho. So there you go. So what we're going to do is we're going to first of all do a bit of a fill up of the system because the system needs a good flush. I'm going to flush this with some distilled water. Again, don't put your, if you're making your own dye or you buy some custom cooling liquid, before you fill it up, okay, make sure you rinse your parts, wash it through. I always use distilled water. This stuff is just ionized water that normally goes on batteries, so it's non-conductive and it works fine. I've used this for years. 80p a litre, boom, done. And then we can virtually use either concentrate like Aura Red, also got X1 Blood Red, and then if you don't want to add, because red on the loop is probably the worst colour to stain, but you can get some dye. So there you go. So
fair enough.
Another tip for you on your first, once you completed your loop, whatever you do, don't power up to fill up the system. Use a separate power supply, or use the existing power supply, but you have to rig it. So normally on the olden days I used to use a wire and connect 2 ports, and that kind of allows me to use the power supply. So you get one of these little switches. Yeah, all it is. So I won't take it off. All this is, it's like if your motherboard, your PC, you're pressing the on button. Attached is the Molex, and that's actually connected to the pump independently. So when we're filling the system up, the main components, it won't be working, it's just the pump separate. So that allows me to fill up the reservoir, which I have. So I've got a pipe going to the reservoir itself, fill up with the liquid, turn on the pump. That will pump the water through the system. Once it's drained, I stop the pump, refill, and just carry on until the loop is full. Before filling up, get
loads of tissue paper.
You just never know. On the main areas, I mean, the main areas to cover is the CPU. That's why the water is going to go in first. At the top as well. Here at the bottom, you don't want water dripping if you have a leak. Now, I've double checked every single fitting, made sure that the fitting was aligned and it had a good seal, the inner foam as well, in both the fitting and the collar. Check that. So just double check. Don't rush it. You might want to get it done and filled in, but trust me, take your time. Once you filled up the system, which we will do, and Richard kindly is going to record it, you let it run, because you're going to have a lot of noise, okay? And the noise is the air bubbles and the radiators is going to gurgle, and you think, oh my god, is this how it's going to sound? It's not. It'll take a good 10, 15, it just depends on your loop configuration, how many radiators you have. So you will have a lot of air bubbles floating about, and it's going to make all sorts of frigging noises, but after a while it'll settle down, and then you'll see the actual liquid flowing nicely. Now, I always use the top radiator. A lot of people just disconnect that and feed it through there. I just find it easier. The more open space, the easier the air bubbles will come out. Also, as well, the return loop of the liquid is going into the inlet at the bottom, right? So that's some added resistance. But the pump that I have has been modified. It's a DCC pump with a barrel heatsink as well, a solid pump, lots of head pressure, so it's got enough humph to push it through. Now, here's the thing: if your system that you've built, and if there's a compression or whatever fitting you're using, and one of them is not quite right, the actual pressure, okay, of the pump pushing the liquid after a period of time, if that is not solid, okay, it will push out. And this is the reason why I chosen Monsoon's fittings with a collar, because it just has that added security of, one, you've glued it on, so even if it fails, if there's movement, it's not going to pop out, and also the O-ring is there, so you got two protections.
Right, let's crack on, fill her up.
Alright, calm down, fucking hell. You don't realise I got to edit all this bits so I can break this up.
I know.
Yeah, fucking hell. Right, so don't worry, the PC is not going to the toilet. The reason that we've done this is just a bit of a precaution. So every time I fill the system, I always put some literally kitchen towels on where the main fittings are, and just to protect if there is a leak. Okay. Also, I always use white because, again, this system had a red Mayhem's red liquid in it, so if there's anything that leaks, you should be able to spot it straight away, kill the pump, and there you go. So we're virtually minutes away from filling this up. So it's been a project that's been dragging, because normally I build systems pretty quick, but because we had so many changes, and instead of just making a normal build, we decided to make it a custom build, and to the point where we had some 3D printing front bracket made to go with the build, modify that with some red carbon fibre paper at the back. It's got red LEDs, and then I don't know if you'll be able to see it because there's wires showing. I virtually covered it up with some white carbon paper again to match the actual radiators. The radiators being wrapped, as well, top one as well, because I just wanted, there was just too much red when I put the UV monsoon tubing, and then the wiring, and the wiring, these have been individually sleeved, the colours I've chosen and the specific pattern as well, just to match. Again, that matches the actual fan, acrylic fans with the black and white and the red. A lot of people don't like fan guards because it minimises the airflow, but the thickness of the radiators, okay, you probably hear my my boy on the background, depends the thickness of the radiators. So if you have a 30mm radiator, thin, got a few here, so something like that, then don't put anything stopping the airflow. Also depends on the fans you use. If you use good quality fans that's got good static pressure, that's fine. On this system, because the radiator is so thick, and the previous when I bought the system, the temperature was so low, I actually decided to not put a push-pull at the front radiator. There's a push-pull using Corsair's airflow fans. These are really quiet versions, and I'll be able to control that. So 3 at the bottom, 3 at the top. I mean, that's just for aesthetics. Just to cover the rear fans, and there's a cover plate.
This isn't attached to
no,
just to clarify.
That's to clarify. Again, I didn't put anything up at the front because I want as much air being sucked in and through. Okay, so the total, you've got 9 fans on the radiators and 140mm as a rear exhaust. And there's my missus. So there you go. There is a lot of stuff that we could have done differently. So for example, the actual cabling, the reason I went with this specific cabling and extension is because even though that you could have the cables made to the Corsair's 1500i, a lot of the cables will be hidden away. Yeah. So
it's not really clever because they'll be
okay. Again,
this panel.
This was made. We covered that in a previous video, so now it's fully installed. You probably could see it at the back. I've sorted the cabling out. Still a few bits to finish off. I need to feed through a Molex power connector behind all the hard drives to connect the LEDs for that. Also there's a NZXT Hue lighting kit that's going to have 4 bars LEDs, 1 at the top, 1 at the bottom and either side. I already started installing that, but it's not finished. But the bulk it is. So there you go. Right, so to fill up the system, because it's quite tight, so just add some flexi tubing. That's going straight to the reservoir, and I'm just going to add some still water. Now, I always fill it about halfway, then the reason I do halfway, if there's a leak, at least, that's your worst case scenario if you have a leak. Switch on the power, the power supply, and that will suck it straight away and stop. Just, even though that I've cleaned the radiators, there's still some residue, hence why the still water is a slight tinge of red. So the first attempt that we did, we had a leak on a fitting at the bottom, and that's because the collar wasn't flush. So we sorted that out, and then we also noticed that the bottom, the actual Watercooled bend, which I had, was faulty. I can find it. Because water was coming out of the actual rotary. Okay, so the residue there. So we swapped it over to a different one, and that seemed to have sorted. And then there was a washer missing, and again, there was a tiny little driplet, we couldn't work it out, but once we took the fitting apart, we noticed there was a washer missing on the thread side. So apart from that, no major failures. The pump is working separately through the power supply that we have. That's what we use to fill it up. So we're going to just leave it running for a bit and then flush it all out, get some fresh distilled water, and then swap it over the power to the main power supply on the PC and
throw Windows 7 on it.
No. Well, actually you could put multiple operating systems, but yeah, so a few learning curves, even though that I double checked everything. There was a fitting that I did put on that I did forget to put a washer, so it just goes to show that even you double check, triple check once it was on, until you fill it up, you didn't know. But the pump is a bit noisy at the moment because it's a full whack through the Molex, but then I'll be able to turn that down. So the water is going through the system. Richard's panning at the back.
Just pan over to Sergio and he can talk to the camera.
The liquid is going through the system as it should, and a lot of people do this configuration a bit different. So what they tend to do is one in and block that off, goes through the graphics card, comes out, goes in, and then comes out to the bottom. But because this pump's got plenty of head pressure and the graphics cards, the general rule, the three components here, this water cooled, and normally you use 120mm radiator space, so a 360. So we actually have two 360s.
Yes.
So we can actually afford to split the water. And you can see on the reservoir, it's not disrupting the flow, it's just splitting the water, graphics card 1, graphics card 2, and coming out. So it should be interesting to see what sort of temperatures we were getting. I mean, when we benchmarked this, when it was all set, the temperature never rose 40 degrees at full load on the Unigen Valley Bench. On 3D Mark, yeah, man, you scored phenomenally. So it should be interesting to see now, because I put fresh thermal pads, thermal paste. I used some good quality thermal paste. So a lot of people skimp on the thermal paste. Never skimp on the thermal paste, because that is what connects the water block to your piece of kit that you're water cooling.
Yes.
Okay, so get some good quality. I mean, when I say good quality, 20 quid, that's the range I go for. I use PK3 and never failed. Again, thermal pads, again, you've got different heat transfer. Get the highest you can get, 17.
So what would you say to somebody that's got like one of those all-in-one cooling kits from Corsair? That's
right,
got, like,
so if you get like a Corsair, right, the first thing, because I've used them on the past, the first thing that I do is get some Tim and clean whatever thermal paste is already spreaded on. I take it off, right, and I put my own, because the quality of it won't be the best. It'll do the job, don't get me wrong, but when you're talking between 5 to 10 degrees difference between a very good thermal paste and just a standard box standard thermal paste, 10 degrees is a huge amount. That is like 10 degrees of overcoolability that you won't be able to have if you're just using standard stuff. So there you go. Yeah, so the bubbles, if you look now, it's been running for about 15-20 minutes now. So the bubbles on the pipings are all gone. So
and it's not leaking, which is a win.
Yeah. It's not. And that's the thing. You'd never put too much when you're filling it up. Never put too much, because you just switch on the pump, run it through, look at the first fitting until it reaches, then do it a bit more. So what we noticed straight away was it was just coming out here, and you can see now all the kitchen towels are all dry. There's no hint of red. So there you go. But yeah, definitely learned a lot in regards to, I mean, the piping's, you know, criticise it or not, it's my first time bending acrylic piping. I tried it freehand, and can I just give you, right, just give you an idea, right, it's not as easy as people think.
It's been a lot of blood and sweat.
I thought, because I you know, I watched a lot of guides on YouTube, yes, doing it, how to do it, right.
It's just a case of,
now I understand why
there's a variety of everything. Why
people do builds on these bends, for example, which I've done here, because I had to change it, because originally it was the acrylic bend that I had. If you check on our Facebook page, you'll see how it was with the Watercooled fittings. Now I understand why a lot of people use these connectors, okay, because all they have to do is, especially like around the bends, is straight piping.
Yeah.
Measure it, cut it, plug it in, done.
Bang a thing on it, job's
so I wanted to do it the proper way, getting the bends that I wanted, the flow that I wanted. But to get there, right, it's not been easy. So another little tip for you, whatever amount of tubing you think you need,
3 times.
right, no, double it, yeah. Okay? So I thought, I'll just need like 4 you know, 90 centimeter tubes, and I'll be fine, right? So this is what happens, if you can see that.
Yeah,
right?
this is like
freehand.
This is catastrophic.
Right? This is freehand, right? So I started with that.
Yeah.
Then that is what happens when you don't clean your silicone insert.
Oh yeah, it's like.
So that is anything that's
all over it.
Yeah, so any imperfections within the silicone, that's why you always wash it, dip it on water, then insert it.
Wow.
Okay, there's more. So that one was getting a little bit better, but if you look there, I bent it too soon and it dipped.
Yeah, not good.
All right, another one here, trying to practice a tight bend. Okay.
Like butchers out, yeah.
So if you can see that, and then okay, that was one of my best ones. But then, if you look, can you see it's kinked?
Yeah,
kinked. So I was really pleased, because it was like, yes, I've done it.
Finally done it, and then it's like,
yeah,
oh
ruined.
shit.
Oh, there's more. Then try to get the angles you want, right, and actually straight. So I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, oh, there's more. Another one. Okay, so I got it straight. So what made life a lot easier, I mean, a lot more, try to do a bit of a little connection.
Oh yeah, you can see how it bulges on the curve like
got this one. Now this is what happens, okay,
oh bloody hell,
when you don't heat and you rush it. This thing is one of my first pieces, so I did the first part almost spot on, and then went to there, didn't heat enough, and this is what happens when you don't heat the pipe all the way around and the surrounding area.
Yep.
So I was concentrating on that side, didn't heat enough there, and that's what happens. Okay, so I've got plenty of spare.
Trial and error, learning all in once.
But and that's the reason why, you know, I still to this day, and even though I've built this, yeah, soft tubing, right, I can build a Watercooled system, whatever the loop is, within half an hour, 45 minutes, okay, because it's so easy, okay. Acrylic,
yeah,
trust me,
an idiot can do it.
I don't know about that. I've seen some pretty bad loops when I saw outlet into inlet, and they wondered why the water wasn't going through the whole loop, and so
really,
yeah,
wow,
yeah. But again, soft tubing for me is the easy option, quick option, but because this was to be built to be sold, and you had, this was the original tubing, still see the red dye in it. Lee Taylor, who originally built it, and again you can see the actual photos of the actual build when I got this PC last year, did a great job, right? But this goes to the next level.
Yeah,
I think
it finishes it off. In my opinion.
Once it's all clean, I'm going to rub it down with some diluted alcohol, get all the grime out. So it will be
some bells
all
and whistles
nice.
on it, some fur, you know. Just
Yeah. And there you go. So
and just to clarify, it ain't water out the tap.
sorry.
It isn't water out of the tap.
No,
I don't know if anyone's seen before, but it is actually like distilled water.
Yeah. So you can.
So it's deionized.
And before people start jumping on my back, okay, so oh well, you need to use proper distilled water for PC cooling.
Same bloody thing,
right? You can use tap water, believe it or not. You just have to boil it, right? If you wanted to do that. I also have a silver. A lot of people put a silver coil. I've got like a silver bullet within the system itself, but the whole combination of different metals will react with the chemical that you have within your liquid. But this is a full copper system. Okay, the only things that are not copper is the actual tips, which are plated. Okay, so that's the only two metals. All right, so yeah, the advantages of this is that it makes it a nice clean system. Hopefully it'll be a quiet system. I need to adjust the pump so it'll be a lot quieter, and I can't wait to benchmark this and see how we do, but it will be ready for sale this month. And then after this month, because I'm absolutely swamped with projects, I personally going to take 3 months out from YouTube and social media. I just got a few things personally to sort out. Still some bubbles. So we started this channel last September. The reason behind that was the guy behind the camera.
Oh, we'll just turn the camera. This might not be very good, but we'll just turn it anyway.
Yeah.
In fact, I think if I just move this thing, and then I can like move it round, so I know exactly what I look like. No. Hello. I don't know. Maybe I have to go back a bit. Hello. Back to Sergio.
And yeah, you can flip the screen. So this channel was built simple reason of the Asus X99 Deluxe,
of course,
project that Richard wanted me to build and teach him about.
I did learn a lot. I've learned a lot. That machine has taught me a lot.
Good.
Since September, I've learned a lot about it. So
the main purpose was to share information. Okay, share information.
It was an expensive lesson.
It was an expensive lesson.
But I think it's my motto is you got to do everything 100% instead of going half. Then you know, it's just
true. Also, all we wanted to do is virtually game on PCs. We streamed on Twitch, so we managed to get about 1,000 followers on that, and that was fun for a bit. Then that evolved to folding. We did a 3 months project.
And we blasted up that chart.
Yeah, I used to do folding years ago, so we joined a BitTech and Custom PC folding team. We started a 9,500 position, and within 3 months, with lots of PCs and graphics card. Again, you can check our Facebook and Twitter.
We went through a variety of cars, didn't we?
And we were producing, I think we virtually reached around 4 million points a day at one point.
It's sat at about 170 million, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, so we actually on the top 30. We got featured on the Custom PC magazine, which was very kind, which was very nice, but we had to kind of put folding a hold because
the juice
that
is
3 months, and we had a 1.7. Well, here I had 7 machines,
and pulling from the wall, it was something like 1,600 watts or something, wasn't it?
more than like 2,000 watts, running 24 hours a day. So we consumed about a year's worth of electricity.
The whole streets were.
Okay, within 3 months.
Everyone else's lights were all flickering on and off, and your
cost-wise, it was something giving back to charity for medical research, and that was fun. And then I started personally buying more stuff on eBay to sell, bought quite a lot of systems, built a few systems as well, and managed to acquire this. And following from that, I spend less and less time gaming and streaming and more on the building, and I kind of...
It has consumed everything.
Yeah, it's consumed me a lot of my time and sacrificed a lot of family time as well. And I've got a baby girl newborn, and that is my main priority. So for the next 3 months you won't see as many videos, if any, from me, but we're not over. Come August, September,
millionaires will just come back out of them.
Richard might do a few bits and bobs in regards to what's happening with his personal projects.
Yes.
But myself,
I'll drop a few videos probably on Facebook page or something.
I'll be concentrating on 2 projects, one to sell, one to keep. You can probably see already some stuff at the back, but I'm going to take my time on that. That's a personal thing for me, and then when we do come back, it'll be full blown. I mean, I'm quite surprised. I mean, we're not doing this for the money at all. You know, we don't put, like, all our videos, we don't have no ads at all. We're not monetize any of the videos. We're not begging for people to donate. We're just sharing,
effort, if anything.
Because of that, we're just sharing a passion.
Yes.
You know, we've got near 1,200 subscribers on YouTube, over 5,000 people on Twitter following us, another 2,000 on Instagram, and another, I think, 1,000 plus on Twitch, which is brilliant. You know, I'd be happy. I was happy with 100. So there's 100 people interested in what we do.
People, wow!
Yeah, and it's like they likes, and I got involved more in social media, joined a lot of the custom PC groups.
It's like
on
a family
Facebook.
Almost.
Yeah, met some great people through it. Some great tips. So, you know, the Glory Master PC race, that's a really good one. Overclockers. I also post on Brazilian PC groups, Vietnamese, because there's some fantastic PC modders out there, and I've been learning a lot from them as well. So yeah, it's a passion of mine, but it can be quite expensive, and that's why I have to readjust my finances, hence why I would love to keep this. I would absolutely love to keep it, but I cannot justify having a near £4,000 PC. You could, I couldn't. If you were to buy this, to build this like we've done here, new today, to give you a scope of just how much money is invested in here.
What are these,
right?
a tenner each?
Right, yeah, no? Right. So, to give you on the scope, the motherboard is a Asus X99 Extreme Rampage, the full-blown beans. Okay, that's about £350. Okay, the processor, the 5960X, 8-core, 3-gig processor, that's £900 new. Okay, the water blocks is a EK copper, that's around £90. The 2 Titans, these are Asus, not NVIDIA reference. These have been kind of tinkered with, and these are about £900 a piece.
The sound card's like 260 quid.
The water blocks are EK's full copper. You can't even find them anymore. Full copper blocks, and they're about 90 quid each. I think when they were bought about 120. The sound card's about £250. The power supply is a Corsair 1500i.
Titanium, isn't it?
Right.
I'm sure it's a titanium level.
It's the top of the range, right? Most efficient power supply money can get. It's around the 300 and something pounds. Okay, the radiators, the EK and the Watercooled, they're around 60. Right, depending on the thickness, this one is around £80 a piece. Okay, all the fans that you see are the top of the range Corsair AF. Fans, they're about 20 quid for 2, well, about 15 quid for a set of 2, and there is 10 of them in here.
With the amazing covers on them.
The case is a Corsair 780T, okay? These now
you made a post and you just put the 780 Ti on the end.
Did I?
That made me chuckle.
Yeah, I'm foreign, I make mistakes. I think these are knocking for about 160 quid now.
Yeah, they're not cheap cases.
Okay.
But to be honest, having seen that, and in comparison to the other ones that I've seen, it's quite a versatile case.
Very good case to work with. I had to take the drive cage out and the CD whatever. So the fittings, okay, and this is that's why I love soft tubing. The fittings for soft tubing are about half the price of hard tubing. They're virtually good sets, works out around the £5 per fitting, okay, and this one's got, I don't know, 12, 14 fittings, okay. The acrylic tubing, depending where you go for, is around the £15 mark for a set of 4, you know, give or take. And then you got the cables. The cables was custom made for me, because I didn't have the time to sleeve, but if you were to go to Cable Mod to get a full set, it will cost you anything between 16 and 90 quid. The Dominator RAM, right?
Sexy.
When this came out, it was around the £270. The hard drives that are on the back, right? So in here we've got the latest Samsung S951 256 gigabyte. This is not the standard. This is not the standard SSD M.2 that's on the board. This one actually reads and uses the PSI Express. That's why the configuration on this board is using bandwidth from the PSI Express lane to get, and you can't see it because it's hidden.
I can see the logo, but the logo in the middle is the M2 drive.
Yeah, behind there there's a custom plate hiding because it's green. A lot of people go for the Samsung Pro 850 whatever and it's all red. Okay, get the
one that looks shit.
No, yeah, forget about the look. Get the S951 NVMe, okay? Because the read speeds on that is about 2100 megabytes a second, and then write speeds up to 1000 megabytes a second. Some boards you can actually bridge them together. The 3 drives, there's another 3 hard drives. You got a 2 Intels.
Yeah.
And a light on, and the 2 Intels are 480 gigs each, and the light on is 515, and then you got a Western Digital NAS red drive 3 terabyte.
Good old red drive.
So price wise, I mean the SSDs now is about, for a 480, you're talking probably 150, 170 quid a piece, okay, and you've got about 3 of them. The NAS drive, and it's the proper NAS drive for storage, and it's red. It's the red version. That you're looking about 150 perhaps.
Yeah, it's not more. Yeah.
Okay, and then on top of this, you've got the custom grills that was made for us. They cost about, I think, $7.99 per 120 mil. This was.
I've had 140s made, no problem.
Yeah.
With that logo on, so.
So these were specifically made for this build. So you've got 2 360 in the inside, on the outside different. So add all that together and you're almost there, and that's excluding the time and labor. We also have a Asus triple bridge that's been modified to accept the 2 Titans. Okay, brand new. These are about 60 quid.
And they light up.
And they light up. Yeah. Plus there's still to hook up, there's a huge control unit, 2 channel, that's going to control 4 LED strips. That's another 50 quid, give or take. Additional to that, we also have a separate, because I modified the case to an extent to fit the radiators the way I wanted. I had to sacrifice the hard drive cages, hence why the setup is to the back, and also the CD drive. And to replace that, I've got an external Asus drive, which is here, and that will come. There we are. We still haven't come up with a name for this PC, but the reason
Project Pain in the Arse.
The reason I haven't named it is because I'm not going to keep it. I don't want to take that on away. But it's virtually
Project Hellfire.
It's an Asus build. The motherboard is Asus Rampage Extreme X99. The graphics cards are Asus Titans. The sound card Asus Sonar. So yeah, pretty much anything regarded Asus. The fan guard's got the Asus logo, color coded Asus sleeve cabling. The front bay got the ROG. So yeah, I don't know. It could be a cross between Asus and the Titan. So what do you call it? A Asus. A Asus. There you go. A Titan.
A Tysus.
A Tysus. The Tysus. How do you spell that? T-Y-A. Yeah. The Tysus.
Put T-I in front of Asus.
Yeah. The Tysus. I actually like that.
The Tysus.
Hi there guys, thanks very much for watching the video, it really means a lot to me. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please leave us a like or even subscribe to our channel for future videos. And if you didn't like it, please give us some feedback. We are a non-profit channel, so this is a hobby and we're trying to share information with people of like-minded people like yourselves. But we always appreciate any feedback, so until next time, take care. Thank you.